aboard as a client, there's really going to be two things happening. If you reach out to us and say, hey, Steve, I'm ready to become a client, what's next? There's going to be an administrative path that's got 6 stages that takes about 10 days. And then there's what I call the transformative path. This is about getting you to know more so that you can be a more effective contractor and can understand more about what Apparatus is doing for you. So let's treat each of these separately. First of all, the administrative setup, what we call enrollment. The most important thing that we establish when a client is ready to come aboard is something we call the switchover day. And switchover day is the day that you stop maintaining your own books and we start. You can think of it as you're handing us the stick. We're going to take over the flying of that airplane. We're going to keep it in level flight. We're going to keep the current heading, but now we're going to start making improvements to the books. So about 10 days before switchover day, we will email you a services agreement and we will send you a digital invoice for your first month's fee plus that $2,000. When the services agreement, when you sign that digitally and you pay that initial invoice with your credit card, now enrollment really has begun. Next then is we send you a series of forms, and these you can fill out digitally, and they allow us to establish you and your company inside our tools and get you set up for becoming a client. Stage 3, this has to do with the QuickBooks file itself. Now, we can do any number of things. We can start a fresh QuickBooks Online file if we're working with a client that has either no books or books that are so out of date or so wrong that it doesn't make sense to use them. It'd be better to start fresh. Number 2, we can take an existing QuickBooks desktop file and migrate it to QuickBooks Online, which is quite common. And now what we're doing is we're taking your existing set of books and moving it up to the cloud. And that's a very straightforward process. And now we continue with your books. Or third, you may already have a QuickBooks Online file and we would simply take over the operations of that file. If you're running a CRM, we're going to make sure that's connected and take that over as well. And then of course, we're going to go through the payroll setup for you and all of your employees. Then switchover day comes, and on switchover day, you've handed us the stick. Now we're flying the plane. It's on switchover day that the real handoff happens from your current bookkeeping method to having Apparatus run your bookkeeping. Then in stage 5, we begin a whole series of cleanups. So as an example I mentioned before, that we're going to migrate your chart of accounts to the NAHB standard, and we're going to migrate your products and services list to the NAHB standard. And we can do that without changing your old transactions. This doesn't delete anything, it just rebooks transactions into the proper chart of accounts line items. And if you're using a CRM, we're very careful about adjusting your products and services list because that's the handshake between your QuickBooks Online file and your CRM. So we work directly with Buildertrend or CoConstruct or whichever tool you're using to make sure that that handshake is working, and then we keep it working. Then stage 6 is really the month after month ongoing relationship that exists between you as a client and Apparatus as a service provider. We're doing transactions, we're doing weekly payroll, weekly reports, monthly reports, etc. Now, I mentioned that we have a boot camp, and the boot camp begins towards the end of the onboarding process, and it really has 6 overall sessions. The first one is a live session. It's a Zoom call between Luke Holcomb, my marketing and enrollment manager, Caitlin Brock, my operations manager, and you and your team. And in that boot camp session, we're discussing the history of your company, your goals, and your current operations. This is all about making sure that we've properly configured your QuickBooks Online file so that as we begin going forward, everything's working smoothly. The next sessions that you see here are pre-recorded webinars, and we present these to you basically one a week. They're about a half an hour long, And you and any number of members of your team can go through these. And I think you'll find them to be very valuable to learn how we've set up your books, how we're operating your books, how payroll is working, what we're doing with financial reporting, and then a recap of the daily and weekly and monthly and quarterly actions that we need you to take so that we're able to do the task you've hired us to do.